then who will? Well, I brought Jenny Churchill in today to chat with me on this one. Now, Jenny, do you think that America needs to change its ways?
I don't think it's possible at this point for most Americans to change anything significant. And I think it's ridiculous that legislation like cap and trade is being passed with the assumption that they can be...
But does America need to change? I'm not asking if they can or not, but do we need to change our lifestyle? I mean, do you agree that our dependence on oil is unsustainable at the moment?
I mean, I think that when you look at the situation, what's happening right now is that there was an oil spill in the Gulf. Yes. It was bad. It's ugly. We need to find a solution.
It still is bad. It's still going.
Yes, but we need to find a solution. But to attack the, small resources, energy resources we have and say that we need to figure something else out because of a spill that had to do with regulations not being followed, safety standards not being followed.
Well, at the same time, this spill is the largest environmental catastrophe in U.S. history. And part of the solution is to decrease our dependence on oil, because the more oil we need, the farther out we're going to have to drill, the deeper the water gets. I mean, that's part of the problem here, is that Americans consume the most oil out of anyone else on the planet. And so the more oil you need, the deeper you're going to have to drill, because let's face it, it's a finite resource.
I mean, it is, but the problem is that, you want Americans to reduce their oil dependency, and yet there are no solutions being put forward for them to do so. I mean,
there are solutions. People are offering alternative sources of clean energy, and perhaps it's true, there's solar, there's wind energy that maybe aren't perfected yet, but there's no money going into the research and the development of these things. Okay. I mean, people put more research and development into like Silicon Valley, and yet nobody cares about clean energy.
But a solution like cap and trade to that problem is like saying to a cancer patient, we don't have a cure for you yet, but we're going to double the cost of your chemo, because watching you suffer even more is going to motivate us to find a cure.
Well, I think cap and trade, first of all, probably isn't going to go through, because that's not the #1 solution. But the solution is to look for alternative sources of energy.
But they're not there. The alternative sources are not there. In order to replace what we get right now from coal and oil, you would have to have a wind farm the size of Kazakhstan.
Well, you have to research and you have to develop.
Or a solar panel the size of Spain.
But so what are you going to do? But so what do you suggest, though? Do you suggest that we just sit back and say, sorry, we don't have a solar wind farm big enough, can't do it?
Yeah,
I mean, shouldn't we at least get started here, at least get on the right path? Presidents have been saying this for decades, and yet nothing has been done yet. So how far is it going to go?
I just don't understand how making the American people suffer when they're already suffering in the middle of a recession is a solution. I think that Obama used his solution as a way to divert from the fact that he has no idea what he's doing and no idea how he's going to stop the oil spill in the Gulf.
Aren't Americans suffering right now thanks to BP, thanks to offshore drilling?
I mean, in comparison to the impact that it would have on the average American's life.
But what are you saying? What exactly is going to have an impact on the average American's life? If we take perhaps a chunk of the money out that we spend on defense, on the military, on our more than 700 bases that we have abroad, and we put that into alternative sources of energy, that's not going to hurt Americans.
Write Obama a letter and tell him to do that, because right now he's planning on making Americans pay double for gas and up to 50% more for energy. That is not a solution, and that is not
one day Americans are going to have to
change for the worse.
If you don't start making baby steps, if you don't start changing things, then one day, I mean, fine, you want to put this on your grandkids, on your kids, so that it gets so bad that then they're really going to suffer. You have to start paying one little bit at a time, one step at a time.
Under this plan, after 90 years, we will have saved 1/2 of 1 degree from global warming.
This plan is not the solution. That is obvious. This plan is the baby step, because Americans need to change their way of life. It's not going to work forever. All right, Jenny,